Yep.
We've been screwed the past few years by
Yep.
Big Noon, especially last year. That Ohio State game should have been at night. So,
Yep.
but that's neither here nor there. They won't even get their game on YouTube TV, so they'll
Yeah,
lose.
exactly.
They'll lose probably 25% of their viewership to begin with. So, but how do
Well,
you see this one playing out?
this is, I mean, what better game to start off the college football season than this one?
Three headliner
Top,
games to start the year.
yep, and a top three matchup with the defending national champs up in the shoe. What an atmosphere it's going to be. But I think this game is going to be interesting. One, to start off and put it plain and simple, we got two rookies basically at QB. A lot of hype surrounding both of them. Sayin, Manning, both former 5 stars respectively coming out of high school.
Mhm.
Manning happened to sit behind Ewers for those couple years, kind of learn the way, as not many freshmen, would see nowadays, especially not hitting the transfer portal
Yeah,
like he did. So I think the whole state of Texas is behind Arch. We'll see. And then on the other side, saying he replaces really a stacked offense and just a true poised leader last year in Will Howard going to the
yeah,
Steelers in the NFL. But he's had to earn a spot in preseason in spring ball, and the team seems to be behind him. I like his style of play, former Bama guy.
hmm
So he knows the competition. He knows what level he has to play at to perform. I would say, as you were saying earlier, with Ohio State losing a lot of guys to the draft, Texas, on the other hand, they also lost a lot to the draft. They lost 12,
hmm
which was their school record last year, which is
yeah,
crazy in itself. So I think this will come down to the turnover battle with the young quarterbacks and who can
for
really
sure.
control that, especially Arch on the road,
hmm
because all the media, you hear Get Up, First Take, SEC, they're all talking about how's Arch going to handle it. And I think it will be really testament, especially in that first half, what quarterback between him and Sayin can really limit that turnover battle. And I was seeing on ESPN that Texas with a win has a 95% chance to get in. Ohio State with a win has an 82% chance to get in. But with a
Mm.
loss, Ohio State only has a 57% chance to get in. So this is a
Wow.
big game on Ohio State's side. And I think the one question for Texas, at least on the offensive end, is going to be that O line. They're returning only one offensive line starter. A lot of
Yeah.
guys are losing to the portal, so they're staying within, as Sark likes to build within the program, staying true to that, which is good. But I think it will be a little shaky, at least at first, on the road in such a tough environment. Um, but yeah, and then on Ohio State side, I know you'll get into that. Two new defensive and offensive coordinators. So it's going to be
hmm
a whole reboot for Ohio State as well early in the year. And you know how much pressure is on Day on that side. So
Yeah.
but I'll let you talk about more about Ohio State's end.
Yeah. So, like we said, Julian Sayin, former 5 star quarterback, taking the reins over for Will Howard. They bring in a new running back, Donaldson from West Virginia, I believe he transferred in from, and a couple other players on the D line as well. But the headliners for Ohio State, obviously Jeremiah Smith and Caleb Downs, arguably the best players in the country on both sides of the ball. But how does Ryan Day retool that senior led group to be ready for a challenge like this? In most of their first full games as a starter, some of them might have gotten playing time against Texas last year, but it's a completely different beast when you're out there in that first possession and you're going against you just see that Longhorn logo on the helmet and you're facing against the nephew of Peyton Manning and Eli Manning and Arch Manning. So
Yep.
the biggest question mark for Ohio State I have is really how their O line and interior defensive line, which were two of the mainstays in that senior led group, how did they fare against a heavy Texas led defensive front, mainly named by Anthony Hill Jr. and Colin Simmons, two of the best edge rushers in the country. How are they going to fare against two of the bigger names in the SEC? And I really think Texas controls this game on the line of scrimmage. Again, that interior defensive line for Ohio State, they're going to have to replace. I know Kenyatta Jackson's a big name up front there, and Sonny Styles as well for Ohio State. But I think this Texas O line really takes control of the game. I know we said they only have one true player returning, and Trevor Goosby, who is questionable coming into this week. But Sark said yesterday that he is good to go, even though he was questionable coming into the week. And I think a big name that people aren't mentioning enough is CJ Baxter coming back at running back for Texas. although Quintravion Wisner is still there, and that makes up a really dynamic duo in the backfield. I think CJ Baxter missing last season due to injury, especially going into that hostile environment. But I'll let you give your pick for this one. I think we're both going the same way, but how do you see this one faring out in the end?
Yeah, again, I like that safety blanket you were talking about, especially for Arch. It's nice to have a guy back there in the backfield that you can trust. And I think that, and on the other side, saying, I mean, when in doubt, hey, throw it to 4, give him a go ball, give him a quick out.
Man, that should be the game plan.
I mean, just get the ball to him, and you should be okay. But we'll see. I like Texas in this one. I think Texas has been building a program the past couple years. And last year, I think they ran into, in my eyes, no clue how Ohio State. What were they, an 8 seed or something like that? It's something crazy like that. Yeah, I thought they were the best team in the country, and they were. They ran into a tough team, but they fought hard. But I think Arch sitting a couple years and really taking it in. What it takes to be the quarterback at Texas will help him and help Sark too. And they got a pretty great relationship going on. Whereas on the other end, I'm not confident in saying right now, at least to start the year, especially with Day. He usually takes a little bit to kind of ease his quarterbacks in. So I like Texas on the road on this one to really set the tone early on in the year. But on the other hand, an interesting stat here: Ohio State hasn't lost at the Shoe to a non-Big Ten team since 2021 when Oregon came in there. So you can even go back to 2020, 2019. It's been a while since a team has come in there, and this year taken over the national champ. So they'll have a lot to prove, but I think Texas runs away with this one in the end. And I'll probably go, I'd go 34-24. I just think Texas has a little bit more firepower, a little bit more experience on both sides of the ball to really control the game early on in the season here. But it is a big one for both teams, as we know. But no better way to start the year than that. So.
Yeah, for sure. I'm also with you on Texas. I honestly think the wrong team is favored in this game. I know Ohio State's defending national championship. They get their first game at home. But I think there's just too many question marks on the Ohio State side, namely saying a quarterback. We just don't know what we're really going to get out of him as compared to Arch. We saw him fill in for a couple of games last year when Ewers was hurt.